This conference will now be recorded.
This time I would like to ask Reverend Bruce Miller from Hickory Grove Baptist Church to provide our invocation. And then after that, Mr. Aiden Russ, if he'll come forward and lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Gracious Heavenly Father, I pray for this dear lady and these gentlemen that have committed themselves to serve in our county. I pray, Lord, you bless them, you bless their families for the sacrifices they make in serving us. And I pray, Father, that your Spirit would lead them in every decision they face. And Lord, you would strengthen them in times when they serve and they know they can't please everybody. But Lord, help them seek to please you. Bring you glory and honor even as they serve our county. In Jesus' name, amen. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Russ is a Eagle Scout candidate. We are very, very honored to have him with us tonight. He's the son of Joseph and Natalie Russ, and we do appreciate you taking time out to have a coin for you. Thank you again so much. All right, before we get to the consent items, I just want to let everyone know we might have to move the closed session up. We need to be in closed session promptly at 7 o'clock. So I would kind of like to add to the consent that if we need to, we can move the closed session up. Motion to approve. Motion to approve by Mr. Peterson, second by Mr. McGill. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Next we have public hearing. Declare it open at this time, public hearing to receive comments regarding a rezoning request for property located at the intersection of Twisted Hickory Road and NC Highway 242 South. Is there anyone here to speak on the public hearing?
Yeah, I just come up and give a few comments. The planning board met January 17th to review the application that was received from the Retson companies, and planning board voted and gave a favorable recommendation to the commissioners for the commissioners to actually conduct the public hearing tonight, because the planning board just held a public meeting, which we did not have anyone. I notified the same folks I notified for this meeting, so we did not have anyone show up for planning board meeting. But we do have tonight Mr. John Parker, from a representative from the Retson companies, that gave their planning board presentation, and he's going to do the same with y'all tonight. If y'all have any questions.
Good evening, Commissioners, Mr. Chairman. Pleasure to see y'all. There may be a packet in front of you if you. There may not be a packet in front of you.
But there is now.
There is.
Greg had one job to do, John.
I know. Yeah. That's because you were aggravated.
So while you're browsing that, again, my name is John Parker with Retson Companies. Our address is 2075 Juniper Lake Road, Weston, North Carolina. A little bit about Retson Companies. We've been in business over 20 years. We were a business that was founded on Christian principles and operate under those today. Very proud of that. We work with a large and growing list of national commercial businesses, Dunkin' Donuts, Jersey Mike's, Ace Hardware, the list goes on, Bojangles, which is one of my favorites. So we're here tonight requesting the rezoning of a 2.4 acre parcel from rural agricultural to commercial. This first couple pages of the application, I'm sure you've already seen. Just want to have it in there for reference for you. So skipping a few pages in, that first photograph. If you hadn't had a chance to get out to the site, I just want to show you a couple photos of the property itself. If you're standing on Twisted Hickory Road looking into the property, this would be the far left-hand side. Again, undeveloped agricultural field at this time. And then the next photo would be kind of the center of the site looking in from Twisted Hickory. And moving on to the next one. If you're on Twisted Hickory, it'd be kind of the right corner of that site. See, the next slide, if you were heading north on Twisted Hickory, you'd see that's White's General Store up ahead, and then the site on the left.
White store.
The next slide, just an aerial overview of the property, give you that perspective of the four corners. We have a commercial use across the street in this intersection, which is White's General Store. The other corners of the intersection are still agricultural. But at this time, if you'll flip to that next page, when we're looking at sites, we're we want to put something somewhere where we feel like we can be a service to the community, the traffic traveling to and from work or to and from town. We look for kind of a sign that a commercial node or commercial corridor has formed. If you look at those call outs on there, these little tabs, these are all the commercial uses that are running up through that area. We saw it as kind of a small commercial node or corridor running up through that way, and that's what really led us to the site. 242, you can see it coming into the area. You got the Bladen County Collection Center and a hog farm, a dance studio, and as it carries on through, a mix of commercial, church, and non-residential uses going up 242. So that's why we like this intersection. We think we could bring a use there that would serve the community with household goods and needs, foods and household products. The proposed use would be a retail store that would provide 6 to 10 full-time jobs and, of course, tax revenue for the county as well. So, love to answer any questions. I know there's always at least a few. We have discussed the proposed location with DOT. There's no concern for entrance, entering the site or egress from the site. We do think that the entrance on Twisted Hickory Road would be better. We know that 242 is busier, so we thought maybe having that off the busier road would be less impactful. So that's the question.
So you said the entrance would be on Twisted Hickory?
Yes, sir. Yep.
That's right across from the store, White Store, right?
It would be if you had turned off. That Twisted Hickory is right across from, but not the main road. It's at that intersection of 242. Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir.
It is my pleasure.
Is there anyone else that would like to speak? This time I declare the public hearing closed.
Let's do it.
Motion to approve by Mr. Peterson, second by Mr. McKeel. All those in favor, any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Individuals, delegation wishing to address commissioners. Matters of interest to commissioners.
Did we do 3B?
That's what we just did.
Oh, okay.
Yes, sir.
I thought you was close.
I did close. Next, we have Mr. Ray Davis, tax administrator.
Evening. So this evening, we have the report for unpaid 2022 taxes that are laying on the real property, and that you should have a copy of that. And then, consider it for the 2022 taxes report.
Motion to receive.
I have a motion, Mr. Peterson, second by Mr. Brett. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? And we have D. You have anything to say?
Yeah, consider to approve to advertise unpaid 2022 taxes on or before March the 13th of 2023.
Motion to approve by Dr. Montgomery, second by Mr. Brett. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we have Mr. Greg Martin filling in for Ms. Sheila Nance. the library. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We would like to request that you set an estimate for a window project actually a bid for a window project for the Bridger Memorial Public Library in Bladenboro. As you all know, that's been the site of the Bladenboro branch of the Bladen County Library for decades. And the Bladen County Library received $52,000 in one-time funds, basically COVID, the state aid public library. And so the proposal is to do this project and also to do a floor replacement project in that building. And they're both sorely needed. It would really improve the aesthetics of that.
Make a motion, we approve.
Have a motion by Mr. Britt, second by Mr. Gillespie. Any discussion? Yes, ma'am.
On the, cost, everything is covered?
That one-time
On
money.
the grant, that thing,
Any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Next, we have Sheriff Victor.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, I'm here tonight to ask that a 2018 Dodge Durango with 94,000 miles be declared surplus. And we have the authorization to sell to the Ross County Sheriff's Office for $22,000.
Second.
I have a motion by Mr. McGee, second by Mr. Britt. Any discussion?
Got one question on that.
Yes, sir.
When we went with that plan this Thursday, this is not included in the piece of that program.
We didn't go with that plan.
that plan, because remember the interest rate, we're in a rising interest rate environment. And so we were gonna pay, it was gonna be like 4%, I think it was 4% plus prime. So now it would be 8 or 9% probably.
So we're not gonna go with them.
No, sir, it's just not cost effective. They focused on the resale opportunity, but what they really weren't focusing on was the actual cost of participating in the program. Plus there was a $400 fee for that.
I must have been out that.
We didn't.
We
Never approved it. Yeah. Yeah, we never approved, we never.
Never did come back?
We never bring it back. Yeah, we mentioned that, but we never,
That's what I'm talking about. Okay, I know what you're talking about. That's why it's something, I missed that meeting. Okay.
That's right. And we continue to do our due diligence.
Okay, I'm fine with it.
Anyone else? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you, Sheriff.
Thank you.
Next, we have Mr. Grant Payton, Parks and Recreation Director.
Good evening, Chairman and Commissioners. I come here tonight to ask for your permission to, we had our ARPA money we had for the county park. We had around $78,000 in savings after we paved the park and we've done the projects that was earmarked for that. Well, the first field on the right when you come into the park, that field was built in 1979. The dugouts are not very usable for the ages, the groups that we're using. The dugout tops are rotten and they're falling down. Chain link fence is rusted. We're asking, what I give you is not the bids. We would send it out in the bid process. That's kind of the realm what we're looking at. That was from a local contractor. We would still send out the bids like we normally would do. But what we received from the local contractor was around $43,650, and that's to change out the backstop, dugouts. The dugouts on two fields. That's actually field 1 and 2. And if we can get this project done, all of our fields will be.
Mr. Hester, Mr. Pate, I don't think we have no problem doing those upgrades you want to do, but we need to see all the bids before we.
Definitely.
Okay.
Definitely.
I think we're all in to do those upgrades, if that's what you're asking. I don't think while you're talking about doing the project, you have, how much you say you got left out of this deal?
$78,000 in the ARPA.
And this project you're doing now is 43?
43. Well, we
projected.
just.
No, I had some people concerned about the size of the basketball courts that they, not as big as they were. Did they reduce the size of the basketball courts?
Not really, no. What we had before, there was 4 courts stuck on one pad, and it's still the same size court. It's just, we've made it a full court now. It's an actual regulation court.
So it is a regulation, one big court?
Yes, sir.
Okay, they was asking me about kids playing and they only had 2 goals where it used to be 4. So that's all the paper to do, quick 4.
as of right now, we don't, the room's not there with the pavement. That was the whole thing with we had to configure that parking lot to where we could get the most parking out of the space. And the basketball court is actually, that was the size that they recommended.
Now, it's smaller than it was.
It's small, no, not really smaller, it's just got 2 goals instead of 4 goals. Instead of playing, I don't know if you ever been to high school game, you know how to have practice goals?
Yeah.
That's basically what we had before, whereas now we have a regulation.
Now, the only reason I brought some people was asking about that when the kids go out to play, that they could not get as many people on the course to play whatever they were doing at one time. And I didn't know where you would have some money extra, whether you might produce something with that to enhance that idea. But you take a look at it.
Well, look, it will be hard at the current location where the basketball goals are now. It would be really hard to put anything else there. But there's other places in the park we could look in the future.
Okay. They just asked a question.
Yes, sir.
Sir, I hadn't been out for a while. The parking lot, has it been paved?
Oh, yes, sir.
Okay. I hadn't been out there.
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Any other questions?
Make a motion to approve. Motion to approve. We don't need to approve. You got more bids. You approve it.
All I'm asking is for the permission, the opportunity is there for us to use those funds when the bids come in, so we can get.
Okay, gotcha. I thought the same thing.
I do have one more thing I need to ask for permission.
I thought it was action items, so we're gonna take.
I'm always asking for something, it seems like.
As long as you all are, excuse me, as long as you all are in agreement for him to proceed with the acceptance.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Come back to you.
Everybody's in agreement.
The playground back, I don't know, 6 months ago, Trillium, 6 or 8 months ago, Trillium, they're gonna give us a $500,000 playground. Well, the playground that we have now, we sent out bids probably, it was early December, January. We wanted someone to come in, maybe take that down, take it, and use it for their, whatever reason, the playground. No bids came back. I did get a phone call today from a nonprofit who might be interested in wanting to get the play structure. Y'all have already, I think it's been listed as surplus already, so I just need to know, is that an option for me to maybe give them the go ahead after?
Somebody in the county?
Is someone in the county?
Are you gonna surplus it at a cost or just give it away?
Just, what we're gonna do is when that playground guy comes in there, he's gonna dump it. I mean, it's gonna be.
So you just want to.
I just want them to, if they want it, they can have it.
Just give it away.
Is it worth? Does it have any value?
It's not worth it to us, but it could be worth it for a small area. They could probably take away a few items on it and use it. But for us, I know the slide it would be around $10,000 or $15,000 just for that slide.
Make a motion that we allocate that property to a nonprofit.
Motion by Mr. Cogdale, second by Dr. Moon. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Thank you, Mr. Payne. Thank you for you. Next, we have Mr. Dean Morris, Director of our Soil and Water Conservation. Good evening, Commissioners. Good evening. We have the opportunity to receive some grants to do some stream debris clean out, and I'm asking on item A, consider approving a Black River stream debris removal service agreement with Hall Street Service.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Item B, consider.
Okay, we'll go through all three and we'll just vote on all three of them at the same time.
You want to go through all three? Okay, B is to consider approving the lower slender horse pen branch going into the big swamp with a service agreement in the amounts and the linear feet are on there. So, item C, consider approving Turnbull Creek stream debris removal service agreement. Also, the amount and
Approve that, DC.
Motion to approve by Mr. Peterson on A, B, and C, second by Mr. Britt. Any discussion?
Just have one question, time frame?
Timeframe, we would like this finished by July 30th. It's
All
tight,
three?
but that's what will be on the contract.
That's all three of them?
That's all.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Coggins.
The question is, these are continuation of removing debris in these, I've seen these before, this is another
This is
expansion.
another, yes, sir, this is another, and it's a new program also.
This is expansion of the same.
It's basically the same, the requirements are a little stricter on these, but it's a program that's considered to be proactive of storm events instead of reactive after a storm. We're in hopes that the legislature will continue this program and maybe every few years give us these funds to work with, and that looks like what happened.
Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you, Mr. Moore. I have a motion to go into closed session. Motion by Mr. Briggs to go into closed session, second by Dr. Ellis. Discussion. I'm sorry. We're going into closed session to consider, for economic development. All those in favor say aye. Any opposed?
Break
room. Do the same presentation.
Oh, I didn't know. He didn't tell me. I didn't hear that. I know what you said, but I tried to figure out.
This conference will now be recorded.
Did we find anyone?
Motion table, I'll find someone next time.
Motion table by Mr. Peterson, second by Mr. Bullock. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? You can see we have some advisory board consideration in our February 20th meeting. Now we'll turn it over to Greg Martin, our county manager.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to review the calendar with you for February, March. Point out this, beginning this weekend, the NACO Legislative Conference will begin in Washington, D.C. Tuesday. Next Friday, the 17th, 3 until 7, the Year of the Trail weekend begins officially with check-in and that type of thing at the Cape Farmers Market. Also, that continues on Saturday from 9 until 3, the various events. Actually, it continues through Sunday. So that's an exciting. We're the first host county for this year in North Carolina. So it's exciting. The board meets on Monday, the 20th. Let me back up on the 13th. That's the Health and Human Services Advisory. On the 20th, the board meets at 6:30. Just want to remind you, there is a public hearing to receive comments. If anybody has any suggestions as far as priorities for the upcoming budget. On Tuesday, the 21st at 12, the board planning session. I'll remind you that's very important at the airport. Look forward to that. Also, that evening at 5 p.m., the Board of Elections meets. On Thursday, the 23rd, from 5:30 until 7, Association of County Commissioners regional meeting will take place, and that's a combination of District 4 and District 5. That location will be announced. Moving over to March, on Saturday, the 4th, from 11 until 4, there's a fish fry at Lumen Vineyard. Those proceeds go to the Dublin Peanut Festival. On Monday, the 6th, at 8 a.m., there's a prayer service here. The board meets that evening at 6:30. On Saturday, the 11th, the Elizabethtown Founders Day, 250th anniversary, first event. There'll be multiple events over the course of the year. That's the first one. On Monday, the 13th, at 5 p.m., the Health and Services Advisory Committee meets. The Board of Elections meets on Tuesday, the 14th. Board of County Commissioners meets on Monday, the 20th. There are no questions about the calendar. I want to share with you, you all know that we've been, one of the strategic plan priorities is to establish a website to help promote the county. And so we have met with multiple vendors and have actually been talking most recently with a group from Wilmington who does various community college websites, but they do extensive work for governmental agencies, communities like Compass Point. They've done a lot of the Visit NC commercials and that type of thing. But they have provided a proposal that we recommend to develop a website. We have a deal, if we could watch that, if you were to just do the one on Compass Point, that'll be, whichever one, the first one's fine, you can do that. Kind of gives you whichever is about that. Springer Studio. That gives you a flavor of the clients they work with here recently and many others.
What's the cost for that?
That's what, yeah, that's a very good question. The cost for the website is $10,050, which seems to be very reasonable. And then to develop a video is an additional $16,050. So the total is $6,100. And again, this would be paid or funded through the savings that we have achieved through the reorganization of the company.
So they will post it, maintain it, and do it all, and update it.
Develop a video that promotes our county. And we really, I developed a better understanding of the need for this when we met with the first company who was very much military oriented, and that he talked about the importance of having a strong video to help promote the county type thing. So this seems to be a very good, particularly in relation to a number of the other ones we've seen, it's a very cost effective.
I think it needs something, but will they update it? You're saying they will keep it updated?
I'm sure there'll be an ongoing fee at some point, but I mean, that's not going to be a one-time, one-time fee to keep it going forever. I'm sure. Yeah, a contract.
Mm-hmm. So the overall goal is to bring some revenue into the county then?
Yes, to promote it so that as we try to attract residents to move here, live, work, play, that type thing, and promote the community, this is important for us.
Because we don't have anything else.
Yes, sir.
I know the Chamber of Commerce done a lot of good stuff. They've done videos. I don't think
Star Telephone has done.
What now?
Star Telephone has done some of those. They're geared specifically toward more towards the Elizabethtown White Lake area.
Sure,
it does
yeah,
include
yeah.
Blue Mill.
I guess, don't reinvent the wheel if you've already got a base that you could, it seems like that would be a good working partnership, us, the chamber, anything going on in the county, to kind of complement one another.
Yeah, it definitely.
The Star Telephone charges, I got Star Telephone internet service, the TV service, and they have like a thing with different parts of the county. Do they do anything on Bladen County?
They've done, I know they've worked some with the chamber.
But they have, like a sensation, they got charge of it.
Yeah, they sure.
Stars don't do it free.
Okay, I know you got different methods to show it.
So, Mr. Martin, what do you want from us tonight? Just to make us aware of it, or you want to?
Yes, sir, or if you're prepared to, I know it's taken longer to get to this point than we anticipated just because of the back and forth with the number of companies. So you all are,
Mr. Hester, I'll make the motion, but I want this a Bladen County video, a Bladen County thing. I don't want it listed on White Lake. I want all of the county in it. That's my request. And I know that's
yeah,
gonna happen.
yes, sir.
And I want, at some point, I think we need to decide how keywords will pop up, because someone in Ohio might not know Bladen County, but there's a keyword there like lake or fish or something, and it might, Bladen County might pop up. So I talked to Greg this thing since I seen this thing about some buzzwords that might kick in and make sure Bladen County pops up. So I make a motion to approve.
Motion to approve by Mr. Peterson, second by Mr. Briggs. Any other discussion?
Let me ask one thing. Is this to bring back a proposal?
We've talked about it. We've talked about it before.
So this is the proposal
Yes.
that you bring before, so contract and all that, we don't need to worry about training and all that.
Well, Leslie's already reviewed, they have a 10-day out, but he'll double check this.
So we need
He's already looked at it.
so we need a contract on.
If you all are prepared, I mean, there's no, I'm fine if you're comfortable with it, we certainly are.
Mr. Chairman, his motion is to approve, funding? Wow, I was thinking that we couldn't approve funding.
This is not the first time we've discussed what we've been doing.
Early last year, we.
But do you know
We're not
that?
asking for any money, this is the savings. Yeah, we're not asking for any money, this is the savings, using the portion of the savings that.
We approve that the video gets vetted by us
Yeah.
before the final product.
So,
Oh, yeah.
but
Make sure every area, you know,
the amount, you say somewhere $25,000.
is doing it.
So what's that money?
26,100.
26,000.
All right, any other discussion?
Are we allowed to ask anything about?
You can do it under item, 15.
Yeah. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
You need to sign up.
Thank you. Moving on to item C. I just wanted to share with you, you all may have seen in the news, but there has been an additional opioid settlement that will generate significantly more funds for states. And in North Carolina, we understand that the Attorney General plans to use the same arrangement that has already been developed for the previous settlement, with 85% going to local governments and 15% to the state. So as we learn more about that and specific dollars.
And that was at the meeting, before the regular meeting, I think they were saying, did he tell you guys, I thought he said to all the county managers that the boards, each board had to approve the settlement, and that claim.
That's right, by April 18th.
We got to approve it, right?
Right. Well, when we receive that information, we'll bring it.
So I make a motion, we adopt the resolution. Is that what you're looking for, Mr. Martin?
No, sir, not on that, on item D, we're requesting a resolution in support of the Lower Cape Fear Water and Sewer Authority.
I'm sorry.
That, see, all you gotta do is come back and just approve.
So,
it.
Mr.
You may be
Martin,
looking at that.
what I want to say on that, I want us to send a letter to Josh Steins and ask him to please review the way that they, divvied that money out to start with, because I really think we got shafted. I mean, because we really had a lot of opioids being sold out of the drugstores, and we had a lot of ODs and all this stuff, and we get like, Thomas County got like $8 million. And the guy that was helping them was in Bladen County for a long time. So,
I think
mean,
it was a timing issue.
yeah,
there.
so I mean, that's just my thoughts around that, 'cause
I think we had more deaths than they did, too, related.
That's right. What it said, they used the association said they were using the same exact formula had been agreed upon.
and that's what I want us to question the, how they did it the first time, to make sure we don't get shafted the second time. That's all I'm asking.
I'm pretty proud you just talked.
And it might be good, I don't know.
It
appears that way.
I know they said we had, but you have to approve it anyway. We can say we don't approve what they give us, and you didn't have.
But then you don't get nothing.
Yeah, I will say, just to share with you all, North Carolina's approach was very deliberative. They've called it a 5-5-5 approach. county attorneys and that type of thing. But as far as the 85-15 breakdown, 85% going to local governments and only 15% going to the state, that was one of the best in the entire country. So that part is positive as far as each county. I know the numbers,
Did we not have a local attorney helping, fighting for our area?
we had one who first approached us.
Right. And,
They use a formula with population. That was the formula that they used, same thing with the census, they use population.
That's a portion.
Yeah.
But it also
And
counts
they use
prescriptions.
prescriptions and ODs and things like that too. Population was the main one. Well, that population has nothing to do with opioid deaths and. All right, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Okay, the board is requested to consider adopting a resolution in support of a funding request by the local government, by the Lower Cape Fear Water and Sewer Authority for a 10-mile parallel water line to run from their facility toward Brunswick.
where is that?
And this is to request the General Assembly to appropriate.
And you said 10 miles parallel from where?
Second, motion to approve, Mr.
Question.
Pearson, second by Mr. Gillespie. Anything else?
Yes, I want to know the 10-mile parallel water. You said from the Brunswick, which one?
Well, I know the intake is in Bladen County, as you know, near the
North Carolina?
near the
That's what
Coleman
I'm-
County line, that's right. And then there is, I'm not exactly sure where this is in specific detail.
Somewhere related in the county,
Yeah, I think it's to extend on beyond where they need additional.
relation to Bender County somewhere, I don't know all the details.
I don't have.
That was what was in the notes you sent me.
Yeah, I know, I don't have the map right in front of me. But they send water to Pender, Brunswick, Hanover, and that type of thing. Because they send raw water and then it's treated at their respective.
All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Thank you. And then the last request is, Mr. Chairman, if I may, is to, parallel infrastructure system to the final meter vault serving Pender and Hanover counties. Is what moving to item E, there is a request from Mr. Tim Blunt, who owns property in the town of White Lake, for name changes, and specifically, he is asking that Park Shores Drive be changed to quote this street, that Sycamore Lane be changed to that street, and then the connection between, which is like the end of the horseshoe to the lake, be changed to the other street. So this street, that street, the other.
Motion to approve, Mr.
Motion to approve by Mr.
Second.
Pearson, by Mr. Briggs.
Why we do?
One question,
Yeah, question.
I'm assuming he's run that by like
He has the sign off,
911.
well, this is coming from emergency service, from
Okay.
P911, but he does have the sign off of the Strickland sewer property.
My only concern would be somebody call 911 and say, I'm on this street, I'm on that street, I'm on the other, I mean, that just seems, but whatever Tim wants, Tim.
Mr. Chairman, does any business live on these streets already, gonna have to change their addresses and everything?
He's pretty much gutted it, it's a new,
So, okay.
it'll be new
So the citizens-
places put in there.
That sounds
My
nice.
only concern was the 911 thing.
I was thinking about the citizens, maybe living there, having to go through a whole lot of address changes.
They claimed it. Mr. Martin, don't we go to them first?
Well, this came to me from Mr. Nathan Dallas, who was unable to
That's
be
what
here.
I'm saying, that's good then.
Private road.
He's on the town board over there. Oh, yeah.
All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? Individuals or delegation wishing to address commissioners?
I just had a question about, because I used to create websites. I was wondering, the web hosting, because it's not just, pay for that design, and then you're done, pretty much. Like you said, it's gonna be an ongoing cost. Correct, I was wondering if y'all had gotten any costs for the yearly upkeep of, where it's gonna be hosted from, like you said, they host it, but that's just probably the first year.
Yeah, I will double check into that.
That was my question. Hosting.
And with it.
Host it, yeah,
Yeah,
over and
that's a
over
long
and over
time.
and upkeep and all that.
Exactly right.
Because it's gotta be on a
And
server and if
Exactly.
it's got video, it's gonna have to be a heavy duty team.
I'm streaming.
Thank you, Ms. Taylor. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Matters of interest to commissioners?
Yeah, I was, and I know Cargill has this issue. There's a lot of concerns about the mental health and services we're getting here in the county. My husband is a counselor. And I don't know what's going in new school, but I've been talking to several principals and talking to them, and some of the parents are talking about their children. I don't know where the services are. We get that little card for $1 trillion. And I told him you can Google it on Facebook. But that's it. Now, if you can tell me, you on the board, maybe you can tell me what they're doing, and how they're gonna reach out for us. How they're gonna help, let me finish this. How they're gonna reach our children, especially those in the school system. It's not just Bladen County. I mean, on the news, I think, one day last week, NPR, that's one thing it talked about, mental health of the children. How bad, because the result of COVID being home, they were out of school, they have suffered academically, socially, and mentally. So I want to know what are they doing and how they're going to reach them. And where is the building in Elizabethtown that they can get service?
Well, here's the big thing that, and I think that's a great point and a great question. I think Mike called me about it. I think I talked to Cecilia, probably going to end up talking to her again tonight because she kind of called me. I was trying to finish to get here, play phone tag. Anyway, I think we talked about her at some point coming back and probably talking about that. Now, I can tell you, and I may be out of line, but them trying to integrate service into the school system, which all of a sudden they're going to be there, it's one thing to give them the card, here, you need to go here and go get this service. It's the other. Now, Mike brought up some situations where kids were having issues that as an instructor, he sees that going on, and all of a sudden, we're trying to draw them in there to be like a healthcare education provider all of a sudden. So here's my point. We can ask her what they can do in that regard. I don't know the answer right off the bat. In other words, so if you're handed that card, and my thing with Trillium, and I've told them this, and I've said this here, is the only thing that's confusing to a lot of people, and I shared this with Mike today, a lot of their services are under names and other agencies that are umbrellas under Trillium that a lot of people don't know Monarch. They don't know Speech Solutions. They don't know Speech Solutions does OT or occupational therapy. So it's a little confusing when you're trying to reach out. And then the mental health services are, anyway, so I'm working on it. In other words, all that being said, I'm working on to try to find out how they're going to integrate that. Because that's an integrated thing and not just, here's our card, give us a call.
So, Greg, Mr. Esther, Terry Duncan could answer your question if she was here, probably, because it's integrated in the school. And it wouldn't be fair for me to try to answer that question right now because I don't know everything that needs to be done. But I would suggest they're coming when February.
First meeting in March.
They're coming the first meeting in March. And they're gonna sit right there.
Yeah.
They've had trouble getting into schools, I do know that.
That's my point.
And the thing that you're talking about, the umbrella under Trillium, that's the way East Point operates.
I know.
I mean, that's the way they operate. It's just that Trillium's done different.
I know. Okay. I'm not saying that whatsoever. I'm saying when you're trying to, I've been in healthcare for 25 years, when you're trying to single out who does what. I had a mother the other day, and she said, "Oh, I didn't know occupational therapy is under Speech Solutions." Well, in your mind, when you hear that, you wouldn't think, okay, OT is under Speech Solutions. That's my only point. It has nothing to do whether it was East Point or, I get the point. I'm just saying it can be a little bit confusing. That's what I'm saying.
The only thing that when you run into situations with people, and sometimes I didn't know it to that extent that so many kids were having issues with mental health till I got back in the school system. It's a lot going on. And when they engage in that scenario, a lot of the parents have no idea as where to reach at.
And then I would call out and with the school system, I say, where are they at? Now, some parts of it are in the primary school. They do go into it, but they're not in the high school. The high school kids, they're having issues, major issues, some of the kids in high school. And that transition to adulthood, whatever's going on in the new grind out, new drugs and all this experiment stuff. And my concern was, I've always said this, that when we talked about this at East Point, and we backed up way back, we had one concept that we all looked at and we said that did not exist in Bladen County. And that was that we had need of a facility with logistics that would be where it would be available for everybody to see where that place was at. That Korean would come in here and put the facility someplace in place, in a strategic place, logistic. Here we talked about putting it in the county, trying to find space over there, trying to find a building. What's going to be their reaction to how they would do it? I don't care if they got one place or 10, but they need to have a place logistics set up where people know that that's what's happening in that facility. And they agreed when we talked about the transition from one thing to another. That was part of what we talked about. And they made that commitment. I got those paperwork that they would do that. They didn't say they're going to think about it. They said that they would do that. And they have not done that.
Their site is in Bladensburg.
Well, I don't care, but they need to have another. So that was the issue we had the whole time.
Why does that have to be in Elizabethtown?
Why do they have to drive to Bladenburg?
That was the only place at the time they could find rent.
And that may be fine, it's okay, I'm not knocking Bladenburg. I'm saying though, they need to have clinicians.
There's more drugs in Bladenburg and Clarkton and Abbott.
No, we're not talking about drugs, we're not talking about drugs. We're not talking about drugs.
You are, we talking about
mental health.
all of it.
We're talking about mental health.
These guys,
mental health.
Okay, so guess what? Let me deal with the drugs in
I don't think
Bladenburg.
it's fair to sit here and talk about them. They're coming, let's wait and put it on
I just
with them.
Well, I didn't know that.
It's not fair to them.
but what I'm saying is,
It's not fair to trees.
if Ms. Ellis get into looking at the strategic piece of it, for us to sit here and talk about rental property for Priya, that's unreasonable. That don't even make any sense. These guys control enough money, they come in and rent this courthouse. That's the kind of money they have. They don't have to worry about paying the rent.
I didn't say that about that.
Right,
I said at the
so
time,
what-
that was
what
the
I'm
place
saying-
they chose to rent because that was the place. And they did what they did. They opened up their facility in Bladenburg. Now you want it in Elizabethtown.
No, I'm saying,
Not
keep
just me,
the one in Bladenburg, but put
I don't
one
think it's
here.
very much
Mr. Chair, my comment to this, and if I'm not at the meeting, I just like for you to think about this. There are children in this whole county, around this county that need service. Parents may not be able to drive 25, 40 miles to get there. Kelly, kids over there suffering as well. Parents are suffering. So it's around the whole county. I don't mind if they have a building in Bladenburg. They can have services, brick and mortar in Elizabeth, Clarkton. They can go to places in those facilities to serve them.
I don't think, the thing about it,
mobile clinic.
I don't really think anybody can answer those questions.
I know, I'm just saying, that's what I want them to think of.
We need to give her a chance.
So,
That's what I
she's
want
here
them to
March
talk about.
6th. We have to stay here all night and get our questions.
Well, I'm just saying I want.
Fair enough.
No good.
Mr. Chairman. Yes, sir.
Another subject. I know what kind of money they got in
Motion
community, we need to set a little
Already
more on the budget.
Other day, a meeting or so ago, I requested, I asked about, U-turns on, 87.
Yeah.
And, what was the final decision on that?
We shared the information we received back.
You
He's
responded
going
back
to
to
ride,
I responded back that,
Highway 24,
yes,
27,
24.
24. He indicated that he was going to ride that road, in the very
Okay.
near future to
Okay.
understand better what you were referring
Okay.
Mr. Chair, I have one last thing. During the rain pour down recently, I saw it in East Arcadia. I sent that to you. But I also a lot on the 87. There's some patches that water just lays. And I think it's because, I'm not sure if it's the grass or whatever.
probably the shoulder.
Shoulders eroded, okay.
Yeah.
So if they were looking throughout the county to look out for standing water.
It's all over
Yeah.
the place.
Yeah, it is.
It's got the
Shoulder bit, shoulder.
It's what it is. Yeah.
Take that greater than.
Take the shoulders down.
Thank you so much.
Motion to adjourn.
First to adjourn by Mr. Bullock, second by Mr. Freed. Discussion, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Out there, man, come here a minute. Come here a minute. Or I'll go over there. Come on.
I just told you.